Team skills for process improvement. Unit 2 of 8, communication skills. Part 5 of 7. Kelsey Temperament Sorter. KTS. What is it? It is a personality assessment questionnaire designed to help people better understand themselves and others. In terms of communication preferences, there are 4 dimensions of personality types. 1. Extrovert, introvert. 2. Sensing, intuitive. 3. Thinking, feeling. And 4. Judging, perceiving. Some aspects of how we communicate are shaped by our personalities, or what some experts and researchers in psychology call preferences. Back in the 1950s, a woman named Isabel Myers became fascinated with Carl Jung's work on type theory, and from this, she and her mother, Catherine Briggs, developed the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, MBTI. The Kelsey Temperament Sorter correlates highly with the MBTI. This type indicator identifies individuals on 4 dimensions of personality type: introvert, extrovert, sensing, intuitive, thinking, feeling, and judging, perceiving. Each dimension is indicated by a letter I. For introvert, E for extrovert, S for sensing, N for intuitive, T for thinking, F for feeling, J for judging, and P for perceiving. These dimensions correspond to the profile identified by the Kelsey Temperament Sorter. When talking about a temperament sorter, it's critical that you understand that we are talking about a preference. Although I prefer to write with my right hand, I can write with my left even though it may be awkward. With practice, I may even develop my skill at using my left until there is little difference between using my right or using my left. However, all things being equal, I'll still prefer to use my right hand. It's the same with temperament preferences. I may prefer to act as an introvert. However, because of the situation or training, I can act as an extrovert. Extrovert, introvert dimension. Where do you prefer to focus your attention? An extrovert prefers to focus on the outer world of people and ideas. Extroverts make up about 75% of the population. Keywords. Some words that describe extroverts include active, outward, sociable, people, many, expressive, and breadth. An introvert prefers the inner world of ideas and impressions. Keywords. Some words that describe introverts include reflective, inward, reserved, privacy, few, quiet, and depth. Extravert introvert dimension. Extravert characteristics. 1. Energized by what goes on in the outside world. Extroverts love people and being around people. They tend to be animated and to really get involved in conversations. Extroverts are sometimes described as the life of the party. 2. Prefer to communicate by talking rather than by writing. For the extrovert, it's easier to talk an idea through rather than sit and concentrate on the words needed to convey an idea. It's difficult to be animated and write at the same time. Number 3, need to experience the world. Their understanding of the world comes from experiencing it. Number 4, like variety and action. Extroverts like action to participate in an activity. Variety is important. They tend to bore easily. Thus, they are sometimes impatient with long, slow jobs. Number 5, tend to learn best by doing first, then reading about it. That call to action and thinking in motion makes it easier for the extrovert learner to see rather than to hear. He or she may then be able to ask questions and quickly absorb the essence of whatever he or she is learning. Introvert characteristics. 1, like quiet for concentration. Introverts like to think things through. They prefer to have quiet so they can think without distraction. 2, are interested in the idea behind the job. If you drop an idea on introverts, they need a few minutes to think it through so they can consider the whole message, why the idea is being surfaced in the first place, etc. 3, are comfortable when work is to be done inside their heads. Because their initial reaction is usually to think rather than act, and since they are not ones to make quick, snap decisions, they tend to like tasks that allow them to think things through. 4, want to understand the world before they experience it. Introverts aren't going to want to be the first to do something unless they have rehearsed the whole thing and understand as much as possible before attempting it. 5, often think before they act. This characteristic ties in well with the previous characteristic. They have to understand the why, what, etc. of an action before they are comfortable performing it. 6, may prefer to learn by reading rather than talking or experiencing. Reading about something gives the introvert the opportunity to understand an action or thought and to think things through before doing. These are the people who read the directions before operating a new appliance. Notice the contrast between people who show a clear preference for an extroverted behavior style and those who clearly prefer the introverted mode. Most of you can probably recall the Peanuts comic strip character Lucy leaning on Scrooge's piano and talking non-stop while he plays and punctuates her commentary with an occasional hmm. This is a typical dialogue between a strong extrovert and introvert. Sensing intuitive dimension. Here the issue is how do you acquire information? Sensing people focus on the present and on concrete information gained from the senses. Sensing people make up about 75% of the population. Keywords. Some words that describe sensing people include details, present, down to earth, no nonsense, practical, facts, sequential, directions, repetition, and conserve. Intuitive people focus on the future with a view toward patterns and possibilities. They make up about 75% of the population. Keywords. Some words that describe intuitive people include patterns, future, imaginative, innovative, random, hunches, varieties, anticipation, and change. Sensing intuitive dimension. Sensing characteristics. 1. Use their eyes, ears, etc. They rely on what they can see, hear, taste, smell, and touch. They are concrete people who may be uncomfortable dealing with the abstract. 2. Appreciate the realities of a situation. They operate in the here and now. They don't tend to look for possibilities that are innovative, but look for solutions that are plausible, possible, and normal. Number 3. Tend to accept and work with what is given. They tend not to question what they are given. 4. Are good at remembering and working with facts. They are comfortable with detail and enjoy analysis. 5. Tend to be realistic and practical. They have their feet firmly planted on the ground. They want to see the facts. Intuitive characteristics. 1. Tend to look at the big picture. They tend to see possibilities, think long range, and look for innovation. Try to grasp essential patterns. They, they may want to sketch things in with a broad brush and let others fill in the details. 3. Grow expert at seeing new possibilities. They aren't usually concerned with sticking to what they were given to work with. They come up with ideas about doing things differently that may surprise other people. 4. Value imagination and inspiration. They work from hunches and intuition, perhaps not quite sure of the basis for the idea. They may be some of the most productive people in a brainstorming session. Intuitive people may view sensing people as boring and predictable, while sensing people may consider intuitives to be spacey, off in another world. But notice what each has to offer. Their intuitive provides imagination and creativity and sees possibilities. The sensing person adds detail and practical direction to make the intuitive's ideas become reality. A couple of television detectives can be used to represent this dimension. Sergeant Friday of Dragnet, Just the Facts, ma'am, represents sensing people, while Detective Colombo, Now let me see if I have this, represents the intuitive.